Hello everyone! So today I wanted to create a quick video because DJI has just released a new firmware update for their digital FPV system, and I thought it would be great to just run through the list of the release notes and check out what is all new. So let's get right to it. Alright, so since DJI has released this new firmware today, right at the top you can see the release date was November 1st, 2019. And they're calling this the version V01.00.01.00. So that's, boy, that's a heck of a version number they got there. Kind of strange, but there's plenty of room for minor updates as they go. And it looks like there's a new version for the air unit, the goggles, and the remote controller. So this is just a reminder, when you do update, make sure you update all the pieces of DJI equipment you have and make sure they're all at the same version so that they work properly together. All right, so what is new? The first thing they've got listed here is that they have added to autofocus mode. If auto is enabled, focus will automatically turn on or off based on the scene. Added auto to focus mode. So now focus mode has an auto enable feature. I'm not exactly sure what this means. I might have to test this out, make another video or something to see what this really means. Because to me, focus mode only kind of really kicked in when the scene required it. But I don't know. I'll have to give that another shot. I know a lot of people complained about focus mode getting extremely blocky if you're flying around a lot of trees or in a dense forest or something. So maybe I'll have to try that and see what it looks like. All right, second feature here, they have added a couple more options, it looks like, for the power limit. So now instead of just having 25 milliwatts and 700 milliwatts, you've also got 200 and 500 milliwatt as options. So I guess that's a great option for a lot of people. I'll probably still stick to being at 700 all the time, but I'm sure there are a lot of cases for others who would like to use other options, and so I guess they've got them. All right, so next we've got added framing lines. If a DJI Osmo Action is attached to the aircraft, the size and position and the framing of the lines can be adjusted to make sure the camera view can be displayed on the goggles. All right, so this one is if you've got a Osmo Action camera. Most of us are using GoPros instead, but maybe this will work okay with a GoPro too. I'm gonna have to give this one a try, but I imagine this means they're gonna put some lines on the screen so you can visually see exactly what your Osmo should be seeing. So if you're doing a flight where you're recording something for I don't know, a special cinematic video or TV commercial, and you have to get the shot just right, this might help you line up the shot perfectly. All right, moving on. They have added support for saving on-screen display information as subtitle files when recording by the goggles. That's pretty cool. So I think what this means is there's an additional file that's being recorded by the goggles that'll contain text data, sort of time-stamped text data that you could then overlay, kind of like closed captions work on video files. I'm going to have to give this one a shot too and make some screenshots of what that's like. They have added a screensaver for the goggles. Since these are LCD screens, I assume that means they're somewhat susceptible to burn-in if they're showing the same image for a long period of time. So I'm not exactly sure how that screensaver works or what it does, but if it sits at the same image for too long, it'll probably kick in a screensaver, so maybe you don't get that DJI logo burned into your goggles or something. They have changed the DJI HDL, so like in the menus, the protocol, instead of being called DJI HDL, it's now called S-Bus Baud Fast. That's a great idea to change that because Betaflight has changed it in their configuration for the the final release of 4.1. So now that says S-Bus Baud Fast, it's a little confusing that the goggles used to say DJI HDL protocol. Now everything's nice and consistent. We can ditch the HDL and call it S-Bus Baud Fast from now on. They have optimized multilingual text. I assume this means some of their translations have changed and they've got better translations of words. Curious if they've changed any of the English translations to be better. Optimized display of AV in analog video transmission. I wonder if this is related to people complaining that sometimes the analog input had extra delay to it and others didn't see it. That would be great for the people who want to use this with their ground stations and analog video if it was optimized, it was a little bit faster. They've also added the ability to adjust the screen positioning and size. So you can do that with the HD video, but you couldn't do that with the analog feed in the past, and now they've added it, so that's a nice little added feature. They have added micro SD card error prompt. SD slow appears when recording stops due to slow writing speed. So I know there are a lot of complaints people had when they were trying to use either malfunctioning or slow SD cards where air units would lock up or other problems would appear. So now at least there's some sort of an error message so people know what the issue is. If it can detect that there's a slow card inserted and it can't write fast enough, it'll let you know why. That's good. And there's another related issue well, no, this one's not really related, but another micro SD card issue that I guess you could format the card while you were recording. Seems a little scary. They fixed an occasional issue. Sometimes the air unit would record even when both air unit and goggles were set to record simultaneously. That's a nice bug fix. I had not heard about this one, but glad they fixed it. They fixed a rare issue when the UI interface froze during playback. Okay, I guess I didn't play back videos very often to ever see the user interface freeze while you're playing back a video. Another issue they fixed, writing issue during recording caused the screen to blur or freeze. I wonder if that one's kind of related to that, putting an error that your SD card's too slow. And finally, the last bug they fixed, I'm not going to read this one entirely, it's kind of long, but basically the system was telling Betaflight to not allow your drone to arm under certain circumstances, and that would conflict with being connected to your computer, running Betaflight Configurator, and sometimes the two would cancel each other out and you could arm while you were connected to the Betaflight Configurator. And I thought I was imagining things. I actually did see this when I was setting up my flight controller a couple of times where it would allow me to arm and spin the motors up even when it shouldn't have. And I had Betaflight Configure connected, USB port open, connected to my computer, and I just thought, wow, that was kind of strange. Maybe I did something wrong. But apparently it looks like it was a bug, and they have sort of fixed it. It sounds like there's an interesting issue there. So there you have it. That's everything that's new with the DJI firmware update from November 1st, 2019. I'm going to suggest everybody update to this, give it a shot, and let me know how it goes. That'll be my next step, is to get this installed, configured, and maybe make some more videos about some of these more interesting updates. Little disappointed there's not a bunch of new OSD information coming out. Oh, but I forgot, I skipped the... There's actually another page here. So there's the restart air unit goggles and remote controller. Oh, there's not. There is another page here, but these aren't bug fixes or anything. They're just telling you that you should restart the air unit after the update's complete. And make sure you got the firmware the same on everything. Yeah. Okay, and they are giving us a bit of a hint that in the next update, they have optimized the flight controller on-screen display information. I don't know how they're using the word optimize here. They're using it in a bunch of different ways. But they've optimized the flight controller on-screen display information and add ability to customize the display. I assume that means we can maybe move the OSD information around on the screen, and hopefully that also means they've added more data that we can put on the OSD. And they will also add support for recording the AV analog video transmission. So I'm kind of surprised they added this. So they basically added the DVR functionality for the analog video input, which is something a lot of people asked for, but a lot of people have kind of talked about the analog feed is just something DJI doesn't care about at all. But clearly that is not the case. Okay. And then I think down here, yeah, that's the previous release notes. All right, I guess it's time to get my system updated, get it out there, test it, go fly. And I wish you guys all the best of luck. Until then, see you next time.